All right, folks, we got one last little part to finish up chapter 1. Then I'm going to make some videos with some problems and then questions like that so we can review them. All right, first, so this one's about evaluating tax systems. So when you're looking at tax systems, how do you evaluate them? Well, the first thing is sufficiency. Basically, did they generate enough and make sure the tax system provides these revenues? You know, like I'm sure you guys know right now, the United States has a huge debt primarily to China. So one way or another, we're obviously spending more than we're bringing in. So that's a problem. So sufficiency, big issue. Do you have enough money? The next one is equity. Okay, how should the tax burden be distributed across taxpayers? Is it fair? Okay, so one, is there enough dollars? That's sufficiency. Equity is it fair the way it does it? Okay, certainty. Taxpayers should be able to know when to pay tax, where to pay tax, how to determine the tax. Is the administration of it easy? And that's part of the problem. Like sometimes just complying with the tax code, it's not easy for a lot of people. So again, that's another thing. Convenience, right? Be able to collect it without undue hardship on the taxpayer. So easy collection. By the way, like I'll give you an example. This is one of the things, like, for example, in Florida, they have very high property taxes, but they don't have a state income tax. One of the reasons why is because you can't hide property. You can't hide your house. You know what I mean? So it makes it a little bit easier to know, hey, you don't pay your taxes on your house. The government could eventually wind up taking it, but they're able to find it. So there's certainty, they know what it's going to be, and it's convenient for the government for sure because they know where to find it. And then should minimize compliance and administrative costs associated with tax systems of the government. So low cost to the government. And again, that, all of these, when you're looking at a system, you have to try to hit all these, and I think there's some pretty strong doubts about some of them, but it's a tough nut to crack. It's not that simple. Okay. So definitely know these terms. Okay. By the way, when it comes to sufficiency, there's different types of revenue forecasting. So the first one, static. Static ignores people's changing behaviors based upon tax. So in other words, let's say they raise the $5 more per pack on the cigarettes, and a static forecast would assume, well, the same people will still be smoking. They don't care if it's $5 more, right? So basically, they don't worry about what alters. Static means we're just going to say, well, we sold X amount of packs of cigarettes, $5 more per pack, we're going to get this amount of money. Okay. Now, dynamic forecasting, they try to predict responses by taxpayers. So in other words, you change the tax and you try to estimate the response. So one of them, there's two kinds of effects to look at. One's called the income effect. It is one, as tax rates go up, people work harder to maintain the same after-tax income. Okay? So in other words, your tax rates go up, or you're going to work a little bit more, take a part-time job, or whatever it is to maintain your current level. Substitution effect is just the opposite. As tax rates go up, people will substitute non-taxable activities because the value of taxable ones have decreased. So basically, you're either like, well, tax rates are going up, why am I going to bother to work? If I, it's kind of like the same type of thing, like people with children, it costs so much money for daycare that, why am I going to work if by the time I work, pay all the things back and forth, the gas, clothes, all this stuff, wear and tear on the car, and then I pay so much money for daycare, there might not be enough left. That's a substitution effect. So basically, we'll say, well, you know what? I won't do this. I won't go on this trip. I won't spend the money. So that's the difference between static and dynamic. And dynamic is the way to go. Static is fairly useless. Okay? And then equity. Another thing about equity. So horizontal equity. So there's two ways to look at it. One is horizontal equity. That's where two taxpayers in similar situations pay the same tax. Okay. So that's being, like if we're the same type of thing. And then there's what's called vertical equity. And that's taxpayers with greater ability to pay tax relative to So that's saying, well, if you make more, you have more money to give to the tax folks, and that's basically what we have right now for the most part in the United States. Okay, we have a little bit of both, but the vertical equity, taxpayers with greater ability to pay more tax. All right, folks, that's actually the end of chapter 1. We're going to be back with some other problems and some discussion type questions that we're going to go over. All right, see you soon.